Hi, scholars. We should all be caught up by now, so you should have read part 5 and answered the questions on Schoology before you start part 6. In Schoology for part 6, you can see there are questions with our little quiz, our puzzle, that says the one and only Ivan part 6. I want you to open this up and have it in another window so that you can think about these questions as we are reading. So on page 89, when we get there, we're going to think about how does Mac respond to Ruby's injury. I remember that Ruby, ever since she was younger, has had a problem with her ankle because the people at the circus she is from did not treat her very well and they hurt her ankle. And then it says respond means what action does he take? The second question says, how would you describe Ruby's character traits? What effect does she have on Ivan? So we're going to keep thinking a little bit more about Ruby and get to know her better as we continue reading today. We had just finished Home of the One and Only Ivan, and now we are on page 85 in our books. It looks a little bit different on my screen than in your book, but that's okay. So we're at art lesson. Make sure you have your book open to this page that says art lesson. You're reading along with me. Ruby asks a lot of questions. She says, Ivan, why is your tummy so big? And have you ever seen a green giraffe? And can you get me one of those pink clouds that the humans are eating? When Ruby asks, what is that on your wall? I explain that it's a jungle. She says the flowers have no scent, and the waterfall has no water, and the trees have no roots. I am aware of that, I say. It's art, a picture made with paint. Do you know how to make art? Ruby asks. Yes, I do, I say, and puff up my chest just a little. I've always been an artist. I love drawing. Why do you love it? Ruby asks. I pause. I've never talked to anyone about this before. When I'm drawing a picture, I feel quiet inside. Ruby frowns. Quiet is boring. Not always. Ruby scratches the back of her neck with her trunk. What do you draw anyway? Bananas mostly. Things in my domain. My drawings sell at the gift store for $25 a piece with a frame. What's a frame? Ruby asks. What's $1? What's a gift store? I close my eyes. I'm a little sleepy, Ruby. Have you ever driven a truck? Ruby asks. I don't answer. So since Ruby is a baby, she has lots of questions. Ivan, Ruby asks, can Bob fly? A memory flashes past, surprising me. I think of my father, snoring peacefully under the sun while I try every trick I know to wake him. Perhaps, I realize, he wasn't such a sound sleeper after all. All right, the next section is called Treat. How's that foot, old girl? George asks Stella. Stella pokes her trunk between the bars. She inspects George's right shirt pocket for the treat that he brings her every night without fail. George doesn't always bring me treats. Stella's his favorite, but I don't mind. She's my favorite too. Stella sees that George's pocket is empty. She gives George a frustrated nudge with her trunk, and Julia giggles. Stella moves to George's left pocket and discovers a carrot. Nimbly, she removes it. Mac walks past. Toilet's plugged up in the men's bathroom, he says. Big mess. I'll take care of it, George sighs. Mac turns to leave. Before you go, Mac, George says, you might want to take a look at Stella's foot. I think it's infected again. Darn thing never does heal up right. Mac rubs his eye. I'll keep an eye on it. Money's tight, though. Can't be calling the vet every time she sneezes. George strokes Stella's trunk. She inspects his pocket one more time, just in case. Sorry, girl, George says as he watches Mac walk away. So when we go to answer that question on Schoology, we're thinking about this page. How does Mac respond to Ruby's injury. Oh, you know what? That's supposed to say Stella's injury, not Ruby's injury. Ruby is the other elephant. How does Mac respond to Stella's injury? Does he say we should get her fixed right away? Or maybe is he saying, you know what? We don't really have the money right now. I can't worry about it. So he doesn't seem like he's very concerned about it. If I were there, I would be worried if the elephant's foot were infected, but Mac doesn't seem very worried. The next section is called Elephant Jokes. Ivan, Bob, I blink. The dawn sky is a smudge of gray flecked with pink, like a picture drawn with 2 crayons. I can just make out Ruby in the shadows, waving hello with her trunk. Are you awake? Ruby asks. We are now, says Bob. Aunt Stella's still asleep, and I don't want to wake her, because she said her foot was hurting, but I'm really, Ruby pauses for a breath, really bored. Bob opens one eye. You know what I do when I'm bored? What? Ruby asks eagerly. Bob closes his eye. I sleep. It's a little early, Ruby, I say. I'm used to getting up early. Ruby wraps her trunk around one of the bars on her door. At my old circus, we always got up when it was still dark, and then we had breakfast, and we walked in a circle. And then they chained my feet up, and that really hurt. Ruby falls silent. Instantly, Bob is snoring. Ivan, Ruby asks, do you know any jokes? I especially like jokes about elephants. Well, let me see. I heard Mac tell one once. I yawn. How can you tell that an elephant has been in a refrigerator? How? By the footprints in the butter. Ruby doesn't react. I sit up on my elbows, trying not to disturb Bob. Get it? What's a refrigerator? Ruby asks. It's a human thing, a cold box with a door. They put food inside. They put food in the door? Or food in the box? Is it a big box? Ruby asks, or a little box? I can see this is going to take a while, so I sit all the way up. Bob slides off, grumbling. I reach for my pencil, the one I snapped in half with my teeth. Here, I say. I'll draw you a picture of one. In the dim light, it takes me a minute to find a piece of the paper Julia gave me. The page is a little damp and has a smear of something orange on it. I think it's from a tangerine. I try my best to make a refrigerator. The broken pencil is not cooperating, but I do what I can. By the time I'm done, the first streak of morning sun have appeared in flashy cartoon colors. I hold my picture for Ruby to see. She studies intently, her head turning so that one black eye is trained on my drawing. Wow, you made that! Is this the thing you were telling me about before? Art? Sure is. I can draw all kinds of things. I'm especially good at fruit. Could you draw a banana right now? Ruby asks. Absolutely. I turn the paper over and sketch. Wow, Ruby says in an odd voice when I hold up the page. It looks good enough to eat. She makes a happy, lilting sound, an elephant laugh. It's like the song of a bird I recall from long ago, tiny yellow bird with the voice like dancing water. Strange. I'd forgotten all about that bird, how she'd wake me up every morning at dawn when I was still curled safely in my mother's nest. It's a good feeling making Ruby laugh, so I draw another picture, and another, along the edges of the paper, an orange, a candy bar, a carrot. What are you two up to? Stella asks, moaning as she tries to move her sore foot. How are you this morning? I ask. Just feeling my age, Stella says. I'm fine. Ivan is making me a picture, Ruby says, and he told me a joke. I really like Ivan, Aunt Stella. Stella winks at me. Me too, she says. Ivan, want to hear my favorite joke? Ruby asks. I heard it from Maggie. She was one of the giraffes at my old circus. Sure, I say. It goes like this. Ruby clears her throat. What do elephants have that nothing else has? Trunks, I think. but I don't answer because I don't want to ruin Ruby's fun. I don't know, Ruby, I reply. What do elephants have that nothing else has? Baby elephants, Ruby says. Good one, Ruby, I say, watching Stella stroke Ruby's back with her trunk. Good one, Stella says softly. All right, so we'll make sure that we answer our questions in Schoology for this chapter. So that we can get credit for that in our report card. And then we will put our bookmarks in our books and start on page 97 tomorrow.